So here we go. Michael Borgelt, ex-NBA referee, teeing up Kobe Bryant, almost throwing him out of games. He gave Kobe the business. And now, since being a NBA ref, he has built, I didn't even know, you exited the one business for how much?
That one sold for $9 million.
I'm
But
sorry
I
to hear it,
wasn't.
but now you have a seven-figure agency that runs without you. You just check in once a quarter. That's growing on its own. And we got a software company that just crossed a seven-figure run rate after being, you said 3-4 years old?
Yep.
So in the agency for 12 years, talk about tenure. This man is doing some stuff right. But a couple of years ago, he reached out to me to level up. And so where were you at a couple of years ago when you reached out to me?
Yeah, man, I was stuck. Personally, I was stuck, and for business, I was stuck too. Personally, I felt burnt out, didn't really want to do much anymore. I had been doing it for a long time. Financially, or I guess inside the business, the revenue was stuck at $60,000, $70,000 a month for 4 or 5 months. And for people that are competitive like we are, that's unacceptable, right? I got to a point where I was tired of feeling the way that I did and started searching around and looked at a number of different people. None of them struck the chord that you did. And I think that was on multiple levels for me. That was just not just it was the mental stuff and the business stuff at the same time.
So you could have reached out to any number of people on the planet with your resources and what you have access to. And you said, I want to work with this John dude. Why me?
One, we have the same haircut, so that helped a lot.
That is valid.
It's the directness in which your ads came across spoke to me directly. And I think that's how I am. And I needed somebody to not sugarcoat things for me and tell me what I was doing wrong and how to fix it and how to level up, like you said, or how to break through those things that were holding me back. For the most part.
Got it. So was there anything that was a concern or you weren't sure about that kind of almost prevented you from working with me in any way, shape, and form?
I had no idea who you were. You weren't in my space. I run an agency. That's the
Yeah.
area that I spent in. There's lots of business or a lot of coaches in that area as well. That's probably part of the reason why I wanted to step out of that, to learn from somebody different that wasn't just ran a business or ran an agency, but had other business experience. That was big to me. And like I said, just the way that your no nonsense approach. While I mentioned before that my wife watched one of your clips and 30 seconds in, she's like, oh, I get it now. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, oh, I get why you like him so much. He's exactly like you. You guys are both so direct, right? And unfortunately for my wife, she has to live with me with that directness all the time. But in coaching, I think a lot of times people are worried what the message gets delivered because their person is going to be pissed off and not want to keep going. Trust me, I've been pissed off and frustrated through our calls, but that's your job at the end of the day. And I have to realize that and be able to move forward past it.
That's why we got the resentment tool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what makes my job easier. It's just Michael, just go clear a fucking resentment charge.
And the number of times just during a call that you'll tell me, hey, just resentment charge. I just write it down. I'm always taking notes, right? Write it down. Clear that charge. By the time our conversation's done, it's about, 3 or 4 charges that I got to do after I take a break, because I definitely don't like to go do it right away and give myself some time to process everything that's happened in the calls, because the relief sometimes that I feel when we're done is the same type of, wow, I just had a breakthrough. Or sometimes like our last call, it was frustrating for me. I was frustrated, right? Like you said, knock down 8, get up 9. And that's eventually, that's the people we have to be as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, 100%. So what's changed the most for you personally so far?
I think overall my level of anxiety has come way down. I think I had this higher level of underlying anxiety, always worried about, is my business going to make it? What's the next month going to look like? Even though I have the track record of being successful, when you don't know what's going to happen next or whatever, it leaves you a lot of uncertainty. And then finally leaning in and fixing that with you is, hey, you're playing this bigger game here. Make it a game. It's more fun that way.
Yeah.
And we literally just had that conversation again, because I forget, because I always want to win. And when I don't, then I get frustrated. And it's, no, dude, like, have fun with this. Like, it's the journey. It's not the end. And I think sometimes as entrepreneurs, we forget that.
Yeah, 100%. That's fantastic. What has it done to your confidence levels?
I feel previously I was like a super emotional business owner, even though I probably didn't want to admit it, right? But gosh, there were nights that I'd stay up, just wound up over, I don't know, just like sometimes would even break down in tears because I get so frustrated or so emotional. Now I feel like there's bumps in the road, but the valleys are not nearly as deep as they used to be. And I'm able to hold more consistency, which makes me feel like I have more control over my business instead of my business controlling me, which is what I feel like happens a lot of times when you're this business owner, is that you have this emotional roller coaster that happens. And sometimes sometimes it'll ruin all the time that I have with my kids and my family and all of that. And that's like that's why you started this thing, was
Yeah.
to have that extra time.
How
But
was it affecting that specifically?
yeah, I wouldn't be. Unfortunately, my father had the same ability not to be present. And that's what I was starting to do. And I realized I was doing it and I wanted to stop it. And I think all of those reasons are the reasons that I started to work with you, because it wasn't, like I said, just the business stuff. It was the personal things that had to change as well, because I wasn't making enough progress. And I didn't want another year to go by with my guys that I wasn't present or available for them.
Wow. Yeah. And that just speaks volume. You're like one of the best people. Like it's like just a really good person. And I think that's why a huge part of your success is just I can feel your intention of just you just want to do it right. You want to do well. You want to do good for people. You want to be helpful. You want to be ethical. You want to do it the right way. And that just speaks volumes. And that's the type of people that, really the only people that I work with, is because anybody who's trying to shortcut stuff and just do it for, not that we're not all we got to do stuff for selfish reasons to some degree, but really doing it just right and doing it good.
I think like leveling up and being around people that think the same way that you do is game changing as well. And I think that's what you've created in the environment that you've created it's interesting to have so many people believe similar emotional stuff
Yeah.
exist within them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like a lot of times we're supposed to have this, not get emotional, not have all these things, but
Yeah.
you go into the community room and you'll see guys laying it out and being like, hey, I'm lost right now. And then you get up at 6 a.m. and you're on that Zoom or video call, giving answers to people, reminding people it's not all that serious. In 300 years, it's not going to matter.
That's
right?
a fact.
Yeah.
That's
So
a fact. But yeah, it's not to make it sound like a fucking crying group. It's a very far from that.
it's definitely not that. Trust me.
If you watch any of my fucking content, you know that I'm not sitting there holding your fucking hand and crying with you. It's really just we all have this mind that is made up of polarized emotions, whether we like it or fucking not. And how we know it's affecting us is we look at our results, meaning our statistical business results, and how we feel. And if we don't have the results that we want, that means that we're doing things or not doing things that are creating those results, which means we have thoughts that are fueled by beliefs that are creating the thoughts that create the actions or inactions that create the results. And so those beliefs are created all throughout our life. And if we don't clear the things that lead to unsupportive beliefs, and they're all entangled together, if we don't clear that, and the only way to clear that is to bring it up, and it's painful. And yeah, we got to bring the stuff to the surface to clear it. And yeah, it speaks volumes to those who are saying, all right, I realize there's no other choice. I can't ignore it. As soon as that which you avoid, you bring to you, that which you push away, you'll bring to you. And so it just speaks volumes to you and everybody else, that all our other clients and boardroom members that are saying, I want to seek and destroy all the fucking limitations in there just so I can provide a better life for myself and my family and everything. And so that's so cool it's always cool to hear the fucking firsthand account of that.
I also think it's like when we first met, you were like, hey, I'm not going to chase you down. You got to do the work yourself. And that was different than all other coaches are like, hey, we got to meet. We ready? What are we going to talk? And it's like, no, I have to bring the stuff I'm working on to you so that we work through it. And if I don't have anything, then I'm not getting the value that I should be getting out of the calls and whatnot. So I think that was eye-opening to me, is when you're like, hey, if you don't want to bring topics to talk about, you're not going to get a lot out of this.
Yeah.
And just to be, like I said, the directness of that.
Yeah. And if you don't bring shit, I'll go fucking find some shit.
Yeah,
I'm good at doing that shit too.
Yeah. I think that's happened to a few times where about 20 minutes in, it's just, oh, now we're talking about this.
God damn. I thought there was nothing.
Yeah.
I thought it was all done. Yeah, that's super cool. What was there something that made you happiest or surprised you the most since working together?
I think honestly, the level of communication with my wife is better now. I thought we had a really good relationship before. I think it's only gotten better.
In what way?
You're able to, after you start to do a lot of this work, you're able to see it's not so personal anymore, if that makes sense. It's almost, oh, there's a conflict, or there's something unsaid or whatever it might be that you have to get to the bottom of, the question behind the question, whatever it might be, that you still have to continue to work through to get better understanding. I definitely know I have less anxiety, like I mentioned, like that for sure has made me more present and probably more fun to be around. Like sometimes when you run a business, it's tough. And it beats you up, kicks you in the balls, and every day it's 30 days of that, one day not doing it, but being able to not take it such at a personal level as well, to be able to move forward. And I had an example of a guy that came online, sent me an email, woke up at 5:30, told me to go fuck myself. And normally when people say that, they're done. I'm done immediately. So I wrote John and was like, hey, I'm firing this guy. Just make sure that it's okay that I do it. Because at that time, that's only the distance I would say that I've made it to, like, not just to react to do it, but I at least stepped back and was like, hey, John, you're good with this, right? You wouldn't take this either, right?
Yeah.
And you were like, in typical John fashion, I was like, wanted him to agree with me. He's like, no, you need to take a moment and go clear this charge and go handle this. Just give it a shot. Who cares if it doesn't work out? You can fire him in 20 minutes too. I was like, fine, go clear the charge. Literally 10 minutes later, the guy writes me back. He's like, I apologize. I had some stuff going on. I'm sorry. Saving me a $30,000 a year client on that. It's incredible how that was so crystal clear.
Yeah.
I almost felt sheepish and was like, John, you were right.
Yeah.
Like, he did say sorry. He did apologize. And it was not something I had all expected. I would have bet you $100,000 that this guy was not going to apologize. And
I know. You had your fucking checkbook out. You don't want to place that bet with me.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've just seen so many times specifically in business. Obviously, we deal with people. And so the more we build up friction and resistance between us and other people, that just brings in all of the other shit that hasn't been cleared around people, which obviously money comes from people. So if you want customers and yet you dislike people, there's a conflict there and you'll sabotage yourself essentially. And so when you reached out and you're like, I should fire this guy, right? I'm like, resentment charge, because we don't want to make decisions out of resentment or fear or frustration or doubt or any of that for that matter. And I'm like, who knows? Sometimes when you do that, the other person, for whatever reason, decides that they're going to apologize, they're going to come back and something's going to change. And you're like, fuck no, there's not this fucking guy. I believe this guy was the exact words.
Exactly.
And I'm like, humor me, clear the resentment charge. Let's see what happens. Okay. You did. Literally got a message. I think it was a couple hours later. He wrote back and apologized.
I had to figure out how I was going to say it.
Yeah. So what happened was, but I've just seen it so many times, but that's one of my favorite variations of that, because it was so boom, A to B. So that was super cool. And how did that change the way that you look at people, and whether it's charges, resentment charges, resistance? What did that change for you, that particular instance?
I think you can see how, not in quickly, just how this works. Like, all these lenses that you build up over time in your life, that whether it's your childhood or whatever it might be, that you have to clear these things to really get to the space that you need to be to function at the highest level. And I feel I slip back quite often into the emotional state, let's say, instead of living above it. But I'm able to have much better conversations, productive conversations with people in general. So I feel like it's building better connections, I believe, through this stuff, because I've had to grow emotionally through that process as well. And then also, I mentioned this before, where just driving around the car, you realize that these tools don't just help in the moment, but even when something happens and you're working things in your brain, you're like, oh, it's here perfectly in the right time for me to have this challenge, to do it then, instead of being like, why is this happening to me? And more just, oh, no, this is supposed to happen. This is how I'm supposed to work through it. Instead of this, like, me against the world type of mentality, where sometimes that's what it felt like for me.
Yeah.
So
that's super cool. So if you didn't have these tools and processes, we didn't work together over the last year and a half, where do you think you'd be right now?
Yeah, I feel like my mental state was more, like I said, the me against the world. I felt like it was, when I was raised, it was like that. Where now it's, no, everybody's here to help everybody. And it's just a much more relaxed, fun environment to live, much more enjoyable to run my business. Trust me, there's still days that it's not, but the majority of the days have gotten better. I don't have those long nights of just complete regret of missing out with my kids or messing up in business or whatever, because you're able to clear that charge and move on.
Yeah. That's super cool, man. I can feel it from you, which I think is like, when you showed up here today, I'm just like, this guy's got some fucking good ass energy. This is awesome. Fucking, this is nice. Because when we first started working together, not that you're not a wonderful fucking person, but just heavier.
For sure.
Heavier, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's been very cool to see. Just to wrap up, if somebody was considering working with me, going through this process, what would you tell them?
If you want to grow your business, there's no other way to do it. Like you mentioned, the MBA, this is the NBA level of the mind clearing, which is really what helps you grow your business versus other coaches that I've had or other masterminds I've been a part of that's the JV level, right? And that's the difference of what I felt and the growth that I felt just personally, which has made me enjoy business ownership more through being able to have these tools, know I have them, makes me feel much more confident in who I am. Where in the NBA world or the basketball world, there's all these rules that you have. That's why I was so confident on the basketball court. Where in business, there's all these things that come at you all the time. You have no play sheet, no rule book to follow. But now with this set of tools that you have this rule book that you can go and use, and it helps you solve all the problems.
Very cool. That's awesome, man. Once again, Michael Borgelt, appreciate you, bro. And again, as far as I'm concerned, this is chapter 1, dude. We're just getting started, and I'm excited for the next level of big games.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do
play
it,
the
babe.
game.
Appreciate you.
All right, man. Appreciate it.